2 more factories and a warehouse that's attached to the factories to work on in this area right here outside of town. The factory that's here is a fairly large one, so I have to approach it from 2 sides. Right here, and hopefully I can get the distance right between here and the parking lot right here. And the issue I have with that is that sometimes the parking lot can skew things. And there's also a warehouse that's attached to the factory right here, off in this direction, and I'll place a link to the map that I'm using in the chat. You may need to copy and paste the entire thing, but it's on map.projectzomboid.com. One of the good things is I can usually reference specific areas that I can use to map out exactly where parts of the building should be. And in this case, one of the interior walls matches up with this grass line right here. I'll have to do. It uses a brick one, so I'm going to use a stone brick. Not quite. The brick here is painted white, or well, painted white from the looks of it. But I really don't have a painted brick, so the stone brick is the closest approximation to what is there. I'm going to use let me get that again. Stone brick, coal for the bottoms of the windows. And that's simply because of the look of it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The edge of this part of this building should be about right here. And I may need to adjust it depending. Trash can. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Maybe here for the room, one of the rooms. And this is one of the offices for this building. No entrance into the factory floor, but it enters into one of the other offices. And perhaps this is one the supervisor's outfit, since it has quite a few windows looking onto the factory floor. With the factory floor being in this area where I'm floating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 maybe. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. May need to adjust this back thing right here because I need to place a road in as well. If I do have to place in a road, it shouldn't be too much I have to add. 3, 4, 5, 6. Should be 16. Just buy that. Should still work. And that should work in theory. If I need to adjust it, I can adjust it afterwards. Part of these I'm just going to fill in the perimeter, at least at first. And in the case of this, everything in between this right here should be stone. And I'll just come in and fill that in later. This one I may adjust later, so I'm just going to do that later as well. And just in case I need to adjust a few things, I'm going to work along this side of the building. And hopefully I shouldn't need to adjust it too much, but given the nature of Minecraft and how hard it is to actually adjust things over, I may have to. And since this is the one I need to fix first, I usually work with whatever area is in most danger that needs to be worked on, I should say. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In theory, it should be about right here. There's a turn with storage area about right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Storage area being about this big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start all over again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one being the storage area right here. With a door to the storage area right here from the main hallway, which runs along the side of the building right here. There's offices that are accessible through the factory floor. One of the offices being right here. And there's another, what looks like a meeting room right here with an entrance through the main hallway. And there's 2 offices back here. One of them here, one of them about right here. Second office being right here. Okay, this should be adjusted by maybe 1. Ends up being 2, 1 on both sides. One, 2, 3, 4. And there's a somewhat meeting room right here. I think this is one for where the secretary would be. Where the main entrance to get into the offices for most people would be through the secretary right here. And with this one being a way for the supervisor or employees to get onto the factory floor. Well, the supervisor and maybe the vice president, I guess you could say, whoever is in this office, or for the secretary to have access to it. A door right here and leading into the main hallway. Maybe here. May need to adjust this depending. Front door here. 2 doors side by side. Okay, this works. And there are 2 bathrooms, ladies and men, right here. Roughly about the same size. I'm just leaving this here temporarily. The door's on the other side. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About right here. It seems to be okay so far, but it's sometimes hard to tell. The main door to this factory is right here. In view of somewhat of the secretary, although there's not very many windows along this side for the secretary to see who enters and who doesn't. But still, whoever enters would most likely go straight forward if they're going to meet with the higher ups. Workers would enter, would take a right or take another entrance. Although the easiest one to enter in would be right here. There is also a side door. 2 side doors for them to enter. There is a cafeteria room right here. And this one I may need to adjust as well. I need to see exactly how the parking lot will work out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 maybe. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's gonna be close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, in theory, it should be about right here. As I said, in theory. Shoot, didn't mean to do that. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. It probably should be a little bit more than that, but it works out. There's a bit of distortion given the length of the driveway. Or the parking spots, I should say. 10 by 6 is what I've been using for parking spots. And that seems to get the right look that I've been working for. It's very different than free building. And what I mean by free building is just building whatever you want to build. Since I'm trying to get this one as close to Project Zomboid as I can, some of the design decisions I will do differently are somewhat limited. But this also is a choice to try to make it as close as I can get it. It's an interesting challenge. And interesting enough, trying to get it as close as possible can give you some ideas on how to build. I already need to make one adjustment. Need to adjust this by 2 at a minimum. Yeah. So I need to do it by 4. Maybe 3. Yeah, I'll do it by 3. And use part of this section right, this walkway right here to take up the wall. Since each of these walls are meter thick, it's kind of hard to sometimes get the walls in properly without some type of distortion. So what I try to do is when I translate from Project Zomboid to Minecraft and I translate one block to 4x4, is sometimes use the edge of one of the blocks. Say for example, if this were a translation, I'd use this side if I can, on the outside rather than on the inside, to try to keep the distortions to a minimum. Distances along this side are fine, it's just I needed to adjust this by 3 and get the spacing just right. And I noticed it was a little bit odd when I was doing it before. Sometimes it's hard to see it until you place in more of a building. Just do this one by 1 extra. Make the hallway a little bit smaller. You can handle it. I'm going to make this office just a little bit larger. And also not as off-centered. needs to be here. And this one also needs to be adjusted. Which I think is only 4. 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off by 1. This I may adjust to depending on how it looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It won't be a hard adjustment, so I can wait on that. X wall of the building should be here. We have a garage-like door here to load and unload. Looks like this side is where you unload. It's hard to tell sometimes. Got a lot of boxes in this room. It's not a clear-cut loading and unloading section where it's actually labeled. And this doesn't look like it's a logging one like some of the others. The factory machines are situated closer to the offices, way over there, so it's kind of hard to tell. So this could be machines. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what this one produced just by looking at it from a map. But it's a good place to go for supplies at any rate. And one of the reasons I'm using this one instead of the other brick, this one has brick that looks like this on the inside. And the other brick, which looks like this on the outside. So I just decided to use the interior brick for this one as a change. And looking at this right here, I may need to switch, because it looks too much. Looks too much like this will make it, this brick will make it stand out. I was thinking the other one might be better. The problem is that you can't really place in wallpaper, so the interior and exterior walls will look the same unless I'm willing to double up the walls, which wasn't originally a possibility, but it would skew the doors of the building by quite a lot. Basically, all the doors would end up looking like tunnels. So until we eventually get a wallpaper update, if we ever do, it's kind of hard to... Some of the design of a building is somewhat limited. And what I've been doing to compensate for that in this build is often I'll use the carpet to place in the wall of the building as a carpet instead of a wallpaper. This also has the advantage of making these pillars or these columns stand out too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a side door right here. Which in some ways complicates things. I may need to fix this right here, because this is one block above, but that can be easily fixed. Two, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Theory corner should be right here. There's an indent where there are some trash dumpsters right here. That's a little bit hard to put into it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About right here. And this should go flush with the wall. With a 2-block walking space. Between the curb and the wall. This will be one, this will be the curb itself will take up the other one. Although in this case, I'll just extend this out by 1 and make the walk space right here stand out just a little bit more. And this is because these curbs that I'm placing in, they aren't really, they're in Project Zomboid, but they don't really stand out. So it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to place them in and get the positioning right, since I have to place it within some of the blocks, just like the walls. And they're kind of, it's kind of hard to get the positioning of the rooms and the walls exactly, because the walls are going to be 1 meter thick, which pushes in on the buildings that I'm working on, especially on the smaller ones, on the smaller rooms. So often I have to end up placing it 1 outward, or 1 block outward from the building. Or in other words, if, for example, this was the room right here, it still needs a wall. So in other words, instead of placing it in the room, which would destroy the room, I'd place it outside of it, which distorts it outward by 1 block in every direction. But it's usually extreme to have a 4-block room. Some of the closets are like that. And that is one of the reasons why I translate 1 block of Project Zomboid into a 4x4 block of Minecraft. That is to keep the smaller rooms, including the closets, from being obliterated. And in some cases to keep the hallways from being obliterated. Because the walls are automatically going to be larger than most walls are. Not many walls I know of that are 1 meter thick. Okay, so the parking area and area for trash right here. Seems to work with this parking area, this part of the parking lot in terms of distances. It's a constant struggle to adjust these things back, plus or negative, to get everything to even out. Sometimes I need to push backwards, sometimes I need to push forward. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th one is the wall. Notice I'm trying to get the interior right. So I'm placing the wall on the exterior of this block right here. So that's what I mean by sometimes shifting the wall outward, sometimes shifting it inward. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. And another one of these doors, garage type doors, is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This should be the perimeter, although I may need to adjust it depending. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe. this inward by 1 for now. Two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is off. 9, 10. Maybe here. No, here for now. Two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's more doable. And some of this is because of the walls. They're slightly off. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll work on the interior and that will alter how the building will be. That's just a rough estimate for the moment. It'll also give me a chance to alter the entire building as needed. Fairly large hallway, so that should be okay. And there's a locker room right here with showers and a partial wall. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the storage area right here. In truth, this should have been lined up with this wall right here. So the wall on this side will need some adjustments. This should be fine right here. Although this section is a little bit smaller than what it should be. And I know where it's being absorbed by. That's these extra pillars. One, two, three. 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's closer to what it should be. It's easy to get off by 1 in this. Very easy. Two on that side, 2 on this side visible. Should work. 2, 3, 4. There's a opening into the wall here going into the factory. 2. Fairly large hallway. I'm gonna need to adjust it to place in the doors and the windows. Okay. I'm going to take a very short break and then I'll be back to working on this factory. I've got a good portion of the factory layout in, and I'm adjusting it as needed. Thank you for watching so far, and that is it for the moment. Be right back in less than a minute or so.